So at that time, that was back, I was a country girl from the mountains. I had a gun in my purse. There was a lady in our town that everybody said was trash.
The angel of country music, Dolly Parton, had a secret burn book, and a huge star was at the very top. Everyone knows her as a source of endless love, happiness, and support for all. But Dolly had zero patience for artists she believed were not being real or honest. For her, these singers weren't just bad, they were a danger to the heart of country music. Tune in to find out which famous name Dolly secretly believed was the biggest fake in Nashville. 1. Johnny Cash.
But the flood of '37 was when I was writing about in 5 Feet High and Rising. A lot of songs came out of my childhood remembrances or experiences.
The first person on this secret list is a giant of country music, a man whose whole style was the total opposite of Dolly's bright, colorful world, Johnny Cash. To the public, they looked like the king and queen of country, two of the most important people in the genre who would sometimes share a TV stage.
Well, you have to put it in a bag, I guess, but all these years I've just done my own thing, my own way. I don't sing my way on the stage, though, I promise you.
But Dolly saw it differently. Underneath all the polite smiles, she felt a deep and growing annoyance with the very thing that made him a legend, his carefully built image as the man in black. For Dolly, who grew up with nothing in the mountains of Tennessee, music was about lifting people up. It was about adding sparkle and joy to life, a way to dream your way out of a hard situation.
I should have, I guess. I had every chance to. I came close to it a lot of times, but I never.
She saw Johnny Cash's constant performance of being dark and sad as a kind of phony act. It wasn't that she thought he never had any real pain, but she felt that he turned his sadness into a brand. To her, this made the real suffering of their audience seem less important. There's a story that people in Nashville still whisper about, from a time when Dolly was a guest on Johnny's TV show back in the early 1970s. She showed up looking like a ray of sunshine in a bright yellow outfit covered in sparkling rhinestones. She practically glowed on the dark, shadowy stage. Johnny, as always, was dressed in his serious all-black outfit. During a break in practice, he supposedly looked at her bright clothes and made a quiet joke, saying she looked like a Firefly convention. Dolly, never missing a chance for a comeback, smiled a smile that was both sweet and sharp, and fired right back. "Well, Johnny, some of us prefer to light up a room instead of sucking all the air out of it." Everyone who heard it said the feeling in the room got very tense. She truly believed his sad guy persona was a gimmick. She thought it was a costume of misery that was just as much a part of an act as her biggest, most fabulous wig. In her mind, real strength wasn't about showing your pain all the time. It was about finding happiness even when life was hard. But her problem with Johnny Cash was about ideas. Her next battle was with another queen for the very same crown. 2. Tammy Wynette.
And all I have to do is head back down to the old farm, because I still own it. I still own the old house that I was born in.
Beyond her issues with a male star's worldview, Dolly's biggest professional fight was with another top female singer of her time, Tammy Wynette. To the world, they looked like they were on the same team, two powerful women who had made it big in the man's world of Nashville, but in reality, their relationship was like a quiet war. They battled each other on the music charts, they competed for the same awards every year, and they fought for the love of the public.
I have been what so many of the people are, women in that audience. I've worked in shoe factories, I've been a waitress, I've been a barmaid, I worked in garment factories.
The newspapers and magazines loved to compare them. There was Dolly, the bubbly girl from the mountains who wrote her own clever songs, and then there was Tammy, the first lady of country music, who was known for her sad voice and songs about heartbreak. Dolly secretly hated that title. She felt it made Tammy sound like the official, approved female singer, while Dolly was often seen as just a fun and sparkly sideshow, not as serious or as important. The real war zone was the yearly Country Music Association Awards. All through the 1970s, the award for Female Vocalist of the Year almost always came down to a fight between Dolly and Tammy. People who were backstage at those shows for years tell stories about the cold looks they would give each other and how they would have to force their smiles when the cameras were on. Dolly wrote her own hit songs, and she was very proud of that. It really bothered her to see Tammy get so much praise for singing songs about suffering, especially her most famous hit, Stand By Your Man. Dolly was a strong, independent woman. She had walked away from a very powerful man in her own career, Porter Wagoner, so she could build her own empire. The idea of standing by your man, no matter what, felt like a personal insult to her. She thought the song sent a terrible message to women, telling them to be weak and just accept bad situations. It went against everything Dolly had fought for her whole life. This quiet anger finally came to a head when they recorded the album Honky Tonk Angels together in 1993, along with Loretta Lynn. The album was supposed to be a huge, historic moment, bringing three legends together.
I did, and I didn't know that there was any problem. Everybody was having fun, and
while she fought for her place among the women of country, she had no patience for a man who wanted to burn the whole kingdom down. Behind Dolly's sweet smile was a fierce competitor who fought for her crown. If you're here for these hidden Nashville truths, hit subscribe now. The outlaw on her list is next. 3. Waylon Jennings.
And I thought, well, I want to be a country singer, and I just can't find a place. I was born one. That was something I was born with. Music's always been one of the most important things in my whole life, as it is in most of the people that come from West Texas.
While her fights with other female stars were personal and professional, Dolly's dislike for Waylon Jennings came from a much deeper place. It was about how they saw Nashville and the entire country music business. Dolly, even with all her glitter and fame, was a Nashville insider. She had deep respect for the Grand Ole Opry. She understood the system on Music Row, and she knew that being professional and putting on a good show were key parts of the job. Waylon Jennings, on the other hand, was the leader of the outlaw movement. He wore leather, had a bad attitude, and his entire career was about fighting against the very system Dolly respected. She didn't think he was a cool rebel. She thought he was a spoiled and unprofessional man who didn't appreciate his own success. Dolly's work ethic is famous in Nashville. She is known for always being on time, for knowing all her lines and her music perfectly, and for treating everyone on set, from the biggest star to the person sweeping the floors, with kindness and respect. The stories about Waylon's bad behavior were just as famous. He fought with the people at his record label. He refused to record his songs when they wanted him to, and he openly said he hated the popular slick sound of Nashville music at the time. Dolly couldn't stand it. She saw his outlaw attitude not as a fight for artistic freedom, but as pure selfishness. She felt that he was being disrespectful to the very business that had made him a star, a business that a poor girl from the mountains like her could only have dreamed of being a part of. To her, it was like he was spitting in the face of every other artist who worked hard, followed the rules, and understood that making music was a job that deserved respect. There was one terrible incident that really made up her mind about him. Many people in Nashville have told this story. Dolly was supposed to be on a big TV special, and Waylon Jennings was also one of the main stars. He supposedly arrived for filming many hours late, and it was clear he had been drinking. His rebellion was against the old Nashville, but she soon faced a new threat from a man who wanted to change the rules of country music forever. 4. Garth Brooks.
So I think it's the same way, man. Parents come there to relive stuff, but they're also coming there because they've either made the mistake of...
If the Outlaws were a small group of rebels fighting against Nashville's old ways, Garth Brooks was like an earthquake that shook the entire genre to its core. And Dolly was afraid that his new style of country music would destroy everything she loved about it. In the early 1990s, Garth didn't just sell a lot of albums. He completely changed what it meant to be a country music star. He turned concerts from simple shows in theaters into giant rock concerts in huge stadiums. His shows had him flying through the air on wires, smashing guitars on stage, and using giant explosions and fireworks. And Dolly, in the privacy of her own circle, absolutely hated it. She felt it was a complete betrayal of the close personal feeling that was at the center of every great country song. She wasn't mad because he was so successful. She was horrified by what she saw as bad art. Dolly's own shows were always amazing and full of sparkle, But all the glitter and big hair was always meant to support the song she was singing. The rhinestones, the wigs, and her funny stories were all designed to pull the audience in. She wanted to make them feel like they were sitting right there with her on her front porch, sharing a moment. Dolly has always said that a country song is like a little 3-minute movie. It's a story that needs a real connection between the person telling it and the person listening. She believed that Garth's giant stadium shows destroyed that connection. How could anyone really feel the emotion in a singer's voice, or connect with the sad story in a song when they were sitting hundreds of feet away, watching him fly around like a superhero? But it wasn't just the flashy new stars who bothered her. She also had a problem with an old-school legend whose vision of country was just as rigid, but in the opposite direction. 5. Merle Haggard.
I wrote a song about the wall coming down. I called it Love.
It wasn't only the new generation of stars that got under Dolly's skin. Her conflict with the legendary Merle Haggard was a deep clash between two very different ideas of what it means to be real in country music. Merle Haggard was known as the poet of the common man. He was a man whose past was part of his identity. He had been to prison, he had known true poverty, and he sang about it with a tough, honest attitude. His whole image was based on being gruff, serious, and completely against anything fake or fancy.
Oh, that was true. He didn't meet me, and I didn't meet him then.
He hated Hollywood. He couldn't stand glitter. And he sang his songs with a tired voice that made you feel like he had seen the worst of the world. From his point of view, Dolly Parton and her entire sparkling world must have seemed completely ridiculous. A public fight never actually happened between them, but everyone on Music Row knew that they did not care for each other. It was a well-known secret. Haggard was famous for making comments about rhinestone cowboys and the circus acts that he felt were taking over Nashville. Everyone knew that Dolly was one of the main people he was talking about. Dolly, for her part, thought that Merle's idea of being real was just another kind of performance, but a much sadder and more boring one. She saw his refusal to be part of the show in show business as a form of arrogance. She believed that her job was to bring joy and a little bit of glamour to the lives of hard-working people. She felt that his constantly serious and sad music was just reminding people of the hard lives they were trying to forget, even for just a little while. The real problem between them was that they had completely different ideas about what a country star was supposed to do for their audience. A story from an awards show party in the late 1970s shows this perfectly. Merle was in a corner of the room with a bottle of whiskey, complaining to a group of people about how much he disliked the current state of country music. Dolly, looking amazing and floating through the party saying hello to everyone, walked past his group.
Somebody trying to become a singer,
She saw him as stuck in the past, but her biggest frustration was saved for a newer star who she felt had abandoned the past completely. Dolly clashed with the flashy new stars and the stubborn old guard. For more surprising Nashville showdowns, smash that subscribe button. You won't believe who she felt betrayed country music. 6. Shania Twain.
That is scary.
So scary.
So there's a period where the child cannot tell you when it's uncomfortable, when it's hurting.
No other artist seemed to cause Dolly as much mixed and private frustration as Shania Twain. In a way, Shania's huge success in the 1990s was only possible because Dolly had opened the door for it years before. Dolly was the one who proved that a country singer could also be a major international pop star. But in Dolly's private opinion, Shania took that recipe, added way too much rock and roll, and completely left country music behind. It was like a student who not only becomes more famous than their teacher, but does so by burning down the very school where they learned their craft. Dolly felt that Shania had betrayed her roots. Dolly's own moves into pop music were always very careful and smart.
Well, you know what? It's like there's so many different places you can experience in the world, and I'd like to live in many different places.
For every big pop hit she had, like Here You Come Again, she would release a deeply country song like Jolene or Coat of Many Colors. She was a genius at keeping one foot in the world of traditional country, making sure she never lost her original fans. She looked at Shania's music, especially the songs from her album Come On Over, and saw a complete and total surrender to pop. The music was produced by her husband, Mutt Lange, who was a famous rock producer. Her music videos were slick and hot, and her songs were made for giant pop radio stations. To Dolly, it was just pop music that was pretending to be country by adding a fiddle here and there. It didn't have the deep stories, the clever lyrics, or the real feeling of struggle and heart that made the best country songs so special. The real scandal wasn't in a public fight because there never was one.
We're talking about letting go and how difficult it can be to let go. Forgiveness is in the family of letting go.
It was in the way Dolly quietly kept her distance. Whenever she was asked about Shania in an interview, Dolly would say all the right things. She would be polite and praise Shania for her success and for being a smart businesswoman. But with her close friends and team, she was much more honest. A Nashville producer who worked with both of them once said that Dolly heard a new Shania song on the radio, sighed, and said, "There's no story in it. It's all just whoa and yeah. You could sell shampoo with it." But the most stunning and well-kept secret of all was the bad blood she had with the man everyone thought was her closest friend. 7. Kenny Rogers.
An R&B singer that didn't do it. And he brought it to me and he said, "I really want to do this." So I had a recording studio in LA at the time.
The most shocking and most carefully hidden anger of all was aimed at the one man the world saw as her closest partner and dearest friend, Kenny Rogers. Their duet, Islands in the Stream, is one of the most famous and loved songs ever made. It has become a symbol of a perfect musical friendship. But the truth is, the recording of that song was actually the scene of a difficult and painful artistic battle. The public saw two friends making beautiful music together.
Sunday mornings, and I would sing to the nurses, and I would sing a song called "You Are My Sunshine," and they would give me a quarter.
The people inside the studio saw a fight between two huge stars who had very, very different ideas about music. The song was written by the Bee Gees, and Kenny, who had a great ear for what would be a pop hit, knew right away that it could be huge. Dolly wasn't so sure at first. She thought the pop style and the overly sweet melody were a little bit tacky and a step too far away from her country roots. But she was talked into coming to the studio to try it out. From the moment she got there, the feeling in the room was incredibly tense. Kenny had already been working on the song by himself, and he had a very clear idea of how he wanted it to sound. Slick, smooth, and perfect for pop radio. Dolly, who was a master at bringing emotion to a song, wanted to add her own country soul to it, to give it a little bit of her famous heartbreak and twang.
A tremendous amount of chemistry and electricity, but both of us knew where that line was, and we never crossed it. And I think
they argued over almost every single line of the song. Rogers, who was known for his calm and easygoing singing style, got more and more annoyed with Dolly's little ad-libs and her attempts to make the song sound more country. There is a famous story from those recording sessions about a huge argument they had over the harmony in the chorus. It almost turned into a shouting match. Kenny wanted the harmony to be clean and perfect, like a pop song.
I think everybody does. You know, it's kind of like running a 100-yard dash. You get out and you run it as fast as you think you can, but they put someone alongside you who runs it faster than you do, and you'll inevitably run faster.
Dolly wanted it to sound more real and emotional, like a classic country harmony. According to the sound engineer who was there, Dolly finally got so frustrated that she threw her hands in the air and said, "Kenneth, do you want to sing a song or do you want to sell a car?" She felt that he was taking all of the personality out of the song just so he could have a radio-friendly hit. In the end, she gave up and agreed to sing it his way. The song, of course, became one of the biggest hits in the world. Her legacy of love is undeniable, but behind the sparkle was a tough guardian of her art. Was Dolly a secret critic or just a woman who knew what she liked? Tell us your thoughts below. Like and subscribe for more.